Benfica Podcast is one of the founding members of Benfica Independent. Benfica Independent is an independent platform made by fans for fans. And in it, you can find our podcast, along with many other podcasts, along with articles of opinion, video segments, and much, much more. We're also on Patreon, patreon.com/Benfica Independent, with exclusive contents for our patrons.
Hasta que no estás aquí dentro no sabes la grandeza de este equipo. Sí, es un club que tiene una grandeza que no se comprende si no estás aquí dentro.
São de uma magia única, benfiquista, que só nós sentimos assim. Por muitos desgostos que possamos ter, valores mais altos se levantam. E o valor mais alto que se levanta em termos futebolísticos chama-se Benfica.
Quero o Benfica intimidar o adversário. Quero o manto sagrado entrar com vocês em qualquer estado e assustá-los, pá! É isso que eu quero!
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the Talking to the Doll Benfica podcast. My name is Alfredo Fumaças, coming in to you every Tuesday night when we can, now that the season's going. Welcome, episode number 491, with me tonight, Cristiano Oliveira. Como é que é, amigo? Cristiano Oliveira, como é que é?
Alfredinho, como é que é, meu amigo? Got a massive headache, bro, but nonetheless, I'm here to talk about Benfica for a few minutes. Try to get my mind off of negative things.
Yeah,
what's going on?
Yeah, let us know how the sound is. The sound is coming up. We got a new gadget here that I'm using here, and the mic too is a little closer to my face. So just let us know how the sound is coming in, if everything is good. Like I said, episode 491 is what we're up to and what we're serving up tonight. We'll look back at Benfica's last friendly game against Feyenoord. We'll also look ahead to the league schedule, the domestic league schedule, since we're nearing the start of the season. Also, before we go, and I didn't want to forget. I forgot about this. I didn't want to forget. I got to be honest with you, Cristiano. I haven't been excited about the national team in a long time. And I think the women's national team was something for me to get excited about. Clearly underdogs coming into a group where they weren't favored, but they did a good showing.
Somebody, your volume could go up a little bit higher.
Could go up a little higher. Okay, well we'll turn it up a little bit.
Saying I'm perfect, but that's just because I'm loud as hell. You know what I'm saying? I talk a little bit loud.
Yeah, how's that? I think that's a little better. I don't want to blow out the levels here, but I think that should be good. Nick, let us know, or Kevin, let us know. But anyway,
Kevin just said yours needs to go up a little higher. Same thing with Redman. Hey, Redman, is that the rapper, the guy from Newark, New Jersey?
Yeah, Redman, Newark, New Jersey. You got it.
Remember him?
You got it. That's right.
Got it, baby.
You got
so
it.
So the national team,
yada
yada.
As navegadores, a national team, underdogs, clearly not favored. We're going to show themselves. Had a good showing, I thought. Only lost to the Netherlands 1-0, and then beat Vietnam and tied U.S. with the chance in the very last minute of pulling one of the biggest upsets in women's soccer that I could remember. Not that I remember much, but I just wanted to leave here a word for the ladies and for the national team, especially obviously Kika, who is a Benfica player, and a few others that are Benfica players, but certainly something to get excited about. Got the country behind them. We were getting up early to watch games. It was like it was like we were in Korea again. Remember the Korea World Cup, Cristiano?
Of course, man. Don't remind me.
But anyway, Yeah, I just
Before,
yeah.
we're down 2-0, so stop. I don't even want to remember.
Right. I wanted to just leave a word here of thank you for honoring the company. Thank you for honoring the country. And certainly you did all of us proud despite being out of the World Cup. But certainly a good showing by the ladies. So big ups to them.
Impressive for a country that just started playing soccer in terms of at the professional level not too long ago. So yes, hats off to them. Congratulations, and let's do better next time. Let's go. Let's strive to be better. Vamos, carrega.
Yeah.
Should be proud.
Yeah, no, look, it's all up from here. You got to progress. You got to evolve. Let's not forget this women's soccer in Portugal is not something that's too old. As a matter of fact, it's a new endeavor. I think that Benfica is in it for for the last 2-3 years. But the Portuguese football, in terms of professionalism for the ladies, I think, and I don't want to be misquoted here, but I think maybe I want to say 5 to 7 years, maybe a professional league that's competitive. I don't follow it that much. Mike Agostinho could probably tell me it.
In Portugal?
Yeah,
I think it's only 4, if I'm not mistaken. That's why I said what I said before. In terms of professionalism, I think it's only 4 years of professional league, first division and stuff like that.
yeah. But before Benfica came along, I think that Sporting used to dominate, and I thought that the league was around back then, and then Benfica joined. But anyway, big ups. Cristiano, let's turn our attention now here to Benfica. But let me say hello to all the Freddies.
That's problem. You can't hear me because I'm trying to talk and you just. I was gonna say, you know what else we shouldn't forget, Alfredo, is the Freddies. You haven't welcomed the Freddies on board.
I know, Cristiano, you're in charge of the chat tonight, man. You got to control this chat because I got to control a million other things.
We got a lot of people here so far. Cristiano Oliveira, Redman, Kevin from Montreal, if I'm not mistaken. Alfredo Fumaças, Justin Aragão, Bruno Gil Rodrigues, Nick Valadão, Fabs 5000 from Alentejo, all the way in Alentejo. Paul Rosende, again, Manny Valadão, the other Nick's brother, just showed up. He said, "Boa noite, meus amigos." And before we go ahead, guys, don't forget, smash that like button. I need to see heart. Smash the heart button. Now, Alfredo, go ahead. Now you get back to what you got to do.
No, turning our attention. Yeah, you're right. We cannot forget the Freddies. They're an integral part of this podcast of how we interact with the fan base, and I appreciate them. We appreciate them greatly, and even Dave.
We got to get them a little bit more, involved. We got to start taking questions from them rather than just speaking over them.
Yeah.
Such man.
No, I agree. And when we can, we keep our eye on the chat, and Cristiano will keep an eye on the chat. We'll bring up some questions. But certainly, let's turn our attention here to Benfica now. Benfica played their last friendly game this past Sunday in the Netherlands against Feyenoord. And it wasn't a pretty performance by Benfica. But look, if you're going to have performances where you're going to have a lot of film to look at, game film to look at, this is probably the one. And what better time to look at game film while you're still, 7 days away from, 6 days away from the official start of the season, Cristiano?
Ask that question again? The last part?
No, there's a lot of game film.
I was reading the comments. I was trying to read the comments. And you said, I missed you.
No, we need Dave. We need Dave to maintain an eye on those comments. No, I'm saying. Can't like that. Yeah, we come away with a lot of game film to look at, and certainly, what better time to look at game film and make the corrections than 6 days ahead of the official start of the season with the Super Cup game. I'll give you the lineup, and then we'll discuss a little bit in terms of the lineup. And of course, if we're looking at the lineup, we're looking at a lineup in the last friendly, a lineup that's most likely going to resemble what we'll field against Porto. A couple changes here and there, but I think that you could see a core here. Vlaco Dimos in goal, Ba, Silva, Otamendi, and Jurasek. Fred Auschnes in Kokshu. Angel Di Maria, Rafa, Angel Di Maria, Rafa, João Mário, and Gonçalo Ramos. Cristiano, were you at all surprised that Otamendi got the start, or you figure at some point, if he's healthy, he's got to get some minutes?
No, not at all surprised, Alfredo. I mean, I said last week on a podcast when we were taking questions from the Freddies, and people were asking if, is it going to be Morato? Is it going to be Otamendi? And I said, all Morato has to do, I mean, all Otamendi has to do is show up to training 100% and needs to get some consecutive trainings under his belt and hopefully play some minutes in a game, which he did. He started, played 45 minutes. And I think as long as he's, you know, uh, as close to 100% as possible come Wednesday, August 9th against Floco do Porto in Estado Municipal de Aveiro, I think he's going to get the call. I understand there's been a lot of uproar for Morato, and you know me, I'm probably the biggest Morato fan there is, aside from his mom and his dad probably. But I do think that you need to have the experience. You need to have that Melendres from a guy such as Otamendi in the game against Floco do Porto. So no, not at all surprised that he got some minutes, and I'm glad he did. We want everyone on this club to be 100% or as close to 100% as they can be, and it's only the beginning of the season, so it's important. It's important to get the Capitão, your leader, back on the field.
Yeah, but do you feel that at this time, or even with 6 more days, he has enough game rhythm to play against Porto? Do you think that Schmidt is going to go with the center back pairing of Silva and Morato?
As I stated before, Fred, I think it's going to be tough to keep Morato on the sidelines. But that being said, man, you need the Capitão, you need that leadership on the field, and it's one of those games where you need to use your head. You need to be ready for anything. And I think Otamendi is a guy with tons of experience, as we all know. I mean, I don't have to sit here and go over his CV, GPL, La Liga, Champions League, freaking World Cup, Copa Americas. The guy's done it, been there, done it all. And that leadership is crucial in such big games like this. And especially we understand how these games in Portugal are refereed and all the antics and all the palhaçada. And so I think it's important to have someone of his ilk on the pitch. And I think Roger Schmidt's going to have to make the difficult decision between he or Morato. And I understand, as I said before, I totally understand that there's an argument to be made over for Morato. I think Morato's been spectacular here early on in the preseason. Every time he's got on the pitch, even last season, he impressed. I think the future is very, very bright for Morato. But the Capitão is the Capitão, and if he's healthy and if he's ready to go, that's the first name that Roger Schmidt has to put on that list.
Yeah, and a pairing that we hadn't seen all season, all preseason, I should say. Auschnitz and Kokshu. We saw a little bit of it, or a half of it, against the who is it that we played in Algarve? The second half or the first half of the Algarve game.
Celta de Vigo, we played Celta and Al Ittihad or whatever, Ronaldo's team.
We played at Celta. We played no, Burnley. Sorry. Are you surprised?
Burnley wasn't Belenenses, spot. That wasn't Taça do Algarve.
No, yeah, you're right. You're right. It was the very last game because up until these last couple games,
Burnley, whatever they're called, Belenenses.
Yeah, up until these very last games, we had seen different partnerships in the midfield, and now all of a sudden we see Kokshu and Auschnitz. Auschnitz, whose poor performances last year came when he played in the middle. And clearly, he's a guy that has the experience of playing in the middle. But when playing in this system for Roger Schmidt, he's a lot more effective and much better contribution to the team on that left-hand side. Cristiano, do you think that Roger Schmidt is trying to force this partnership because there's some knowledge of each other's familiarity between the two players, or do you think that this is just another test to see if it sticks?
Listen, to be honest, I can't say I blame the guy, because if you'd have asked me what my tandem is in the midfield, would have been Koksu and Arsenis. That would have been my first option. But obviously, after watching these guys play in back-to-back games, where things didn't go smoothly, where you could tell the defensive transitions weren't as smooth as we all expected or wanted to. There's a lot of intensity missing in that middle of the park where it sucks to say, but it screams out for Florentino to be on the field. And so I think ultimately Roger Schmidt is going to have to make that decision come again, as I stated before, against Football Club de Porto. Most likely we will see Arsenal on the left. But as you know, I've never been a fan of playing Arsenal on the left. I don't like playing Arsenal on the left. I think last year you got away with it because you had the likes of Grimaldo cleaning up the whole wing, going up and down, doing what he wants on the offensive end, and he could obviously make the difference with the ball at his feet. This year, not so much. This year, you have a guy in Jurassic Park who has not, at least in his first few appearances here in preseason, we understand that it's going to take him a little bit of time to adapt. But so far, early on, he's not shown the quality with the ball at his feet. He's not shown that he could do the whole corridor a la Grimaldo. So therefore, I think it'll be a lot more crucial to have a guy on the wing that can create, a guy that can go on a counterattack and beat defenders one-on-one. And I just don't see Arsenal as being that guy. And to be brutally honest with you, I actually stated this on Twitter. I don't know if it was yesterday, the day before. There's so many questions going around, swirling around, whether you're going to play Coxu and Tino, João Neves and Tino, João Neves and Arsenal, Tino and Arsenal. There's so many questions. And to me, it's really simple. I would adapt this formation from a 4-2-3-1 to a 4-3-3, not play Coxu, Tino, and Arsenal in the middle, and then Di Maria, Ramos, and then on the left I'd play Neres, Rafa, any of those guys. I think that's the way you'd play. I think it'd be a midfield with three guys in the middle of the park that could come back against the opposition's midfield. We know we're going to go up against Football Club do Porto that loves to play in a 4-3-3. And in majority of these games that we played against them over these recent years, they've always dominated because they've always had more players in the middle of the park than we have. And I think the only way to combat that is to play three guys in the midfield. So that's just my opinion. Hopefully Roger Schmidt is listening because we know he's the number one he's the number one podcast. He was actually the first guy to smash the like button. For those of you listening, smash the like button, ladies and gentlemen. And so yeah, I that's what I would do. But to be honest, I know I'm going around and around, but to get back to your initial question, things did not look good between Coxu and Arsenal Cinnamon. I know, as you mentioned, they have familiarity with one another from playing together previously at Feyenoord, but it looked like an open highway in the middle of the field, man, with those two guys together.
Yeah, no, I'll be curious to see which will be the starting partnership in the middle. But I definitely think that the Auschwitz is a failed experiment for now. And like you said, against Porto, it will require a little bit more muscle. But plenty of other questions. The other question is, it looks like, and look, it's preseason. There's double sessions. Legs are heavy. But we're kind of seeing signs of both Rafa and João Mario of last season when they dipped in form. So a lot of questions is, do these guys deserve to start, or does Roger Schmidt give an opportunity to other guys that are on the wings? For example, Neres, that could play in the Rafa spot with Auschwitz on the left and Di Maria on the right. So it's a big question mark. It's a good problem to have.
Di Maria could also play behind the striker if you want to implement Ned. We all know that Ned is better on the right than he is on the left. So look, the good thing about a good plantel, the good thing about these headaches is that there's plenty of options for multiple spots, which is a good headache for Roger Schmidt. Unfortunately, we don't have that option at right back. We don't have that option at goalkeeper. We don't have that option at striker, and we don't have that option at left back. It's not a problem at any of those, but as of yet, and there's still, what's today, the 2nd? There's still 29 days left to straighten that out. But Roger Schmidt could absolutely mix and match. It's unfair to sit here and say, João Neves, after playing brilliantly down the stretch last year, you're no longer a guy that's going to start for us. You're relegated to the bench. Same thing with Tino. It's just like it's unfair to say that to Arsenal, and it's unfair to say it to a guy like João Mario, who had a spectacular year last year, but we're not even talking about him. And then there's Coxu. You bench the guy. You just spent $30 million on this guy. I had a conversation with Hugo, and Hugo was like, "Oh, I played Neves and Tino and bench Coxu," and I'm saying, bro, for our sake and for every Benfiquista around the world, bro, better pray that Coxu is not a failure, that he's not a flop, because it's one of those expensive ass flops. We don't even want to contemplate that. But if you went and spent $30 million to bring this guy to sit on the bench for João Neves to play. And nothing against João Neves. I love the kid. I think the kid's fantastic. But it's asinine. I mean, Koksu has to play. The question is going to be, who is his partner? Who is the guy that's going to be his tag team partner in a game, especially of this magnitude, where we understand the intensity is going to be through the roof. The guys on the opposite side of the field are going to eat grass. So it's imperative that you have somebody that knows how to defend, but at the same time, you have to create. You have to get the ball forward. And I think Koksu is going to be key in that department. So it's very interesting to see what's going to happen down the line here for Benfica and Roger Schmidt. Alfredo, all I can tell you is that I'm eagerly awaiting this. I'm excited. I can't wait to be sitting in front of a TV on Wednesday watching this game. But yeah, man, my nerves, they're starting to ramp up, Alfredo.
It's good to have options. That's all I got to say.
Yeah. Oh, it's a great. Listen, I'd rather have options than last year. Remember, we couldn't figure out who to play before João Neves emerged, and then all of a sudden, Rafa, João Mario, Gonçalo Ramos, even these guys for a good month and a half to 2 months. Them dudes were on the milk carton. They disappeared.
Yeah.
And so now you have options. Now you have plenty of options. I wish we'd have another option at right back, another option at goalkeeper, as I mentioned. And I wish, to be brutally honest with you, I know Musa scored some goals, but I like to have someone to give Gonçalo Ramos a real run for his money. But you know what? That might be too late because reports are he's getting close to leaving. So we'll see what happens. But if he does stay, I like to get somebody to give him more competition. I don't think Musa and Tank Satter are those two guys, but you still have to converse both of them.
Yeah, somebody was saying here, Rui Paulo was saying Ramos to PSG after the Supertaça. So let me ask you this, Cristiano. If you only had money to get one guy, which position would you go for?
Well, before I answer that question, I have to ask you a question. Does Ramos stay?
Well, if the squad is as is, right? Obviously, if Ramos goes, we're going to have to go to the market for a forward. And I think that Benfica may already have identified.
Well, that's why I'm at. If Ramos stays and I have money to go get one player and one player only, I'm going to go get a goalkeeper.
Okay. That's the answer to my question.
But if Ramos leaves, then I listen, I'll do Rocco. I need somebody to put the ball in the back of the net because if you don't score, you don't win.
Obviously.
That's what. Yeah, that just came up with that one. I don't know if you knew about that. If you don't score, you don't.
That's a good philosophy.
Yeah. It's like normally the team that scores more goals wins. You know that one too, right?
Yeah.
But if Ramos stays, I need a goalkeeper. Benfica, I've been harping on this for 4 years now. Benfica needs a goalkeeper that could come out, that knows how to hold on to balls, that come out for crosses, that could play with his feet. Vlaco Dimos is good at one thing only. That's quick reflexes. Everything else, the guy just leaves a lot to be desired. It's not a Benfica caliber goalkeeper. I know we were spoiled, but I still do think we can upgrade. So if I could go get a goalkeeper, that's what I would do. I need somebody to give me those assurances in between the pipes.
Yeah, Paul.
And especially, and I'm sorry, you see now, Jurisic, even if he improves, he doesn't have the feet of a Grimaldo.
No.
With Otamendi and Antonio Silva, Morato, not as good as those guys to ball at his feet, but still he could get the job done. Ba, at times, you could tell he gets a little clumsy, um bocadinho atrapalhado com the ball on his feet, pull with pressure. So, which means that you're going to need a goalkeeper to be able to relieve, I should say, some of that pressure in the back. And again, nothing that I've seen from Jurassic Park indicates that he's the type of player that could do that. So it's imperative that Benfica gets a goalkeeper that could play with the ball at his feet. We know Vlaco Dimos cannot do that. So, again, man, I don't know what the hell these guys are doing, but at the same time, I'm a little upset and I'm a little worried because if it's the same person that's going to identify a goalkeeper and sign off on acquiring a goalkeeper, and if it's the same person that signed off on paying $14 million for Jurassic Park, I don't want that guy making no decisions. That guy should not be allowed to make any decisions on any player going forward.
Let me read some comments here. Paul Rezendes is saying, I highly doubt Ramos is going to PSG. Enrique looks like he's going to play a false nine system with Asensio in a false nine role. Manny Villadon saying, "Am I the only one feeling Joe Mario and Rafa at current form have had no place on the starting lineup and frustrating to watch? It's still going
You're not.
on with Nares on the bench."
You're not the only one.
Yeah.
I tell you, Alfredo, there's tons of comments. I mean, everybody today came out. They're firing. You have Justin Aragon. What do you guys think about Trubin or Lunin coming in to compete with mental deal looks unlikely? Listen, man, I like Trubin a lot. That'd be my number one option. As you guys know, last year, if we recall, buy, sell, keep, I mentioned getting Lunin. I've gotten some negative news on Lunin lately. So I've kind of gotten a little cold on that front.
What news?
I'll share with you later. I've gotten a little cold on Lunin, but at this point, man, I'm willing to try anything because you guys know I'm not a Vlaco Dimos fan. Lunin is terrific with the ball at his feet, to be honest with you. I think that's one of his strongest suits is the guy could absolutely play a pass out. And, so I'm not totally against it, but I've just gotten a little bit colder on that front.
Yeah, and look, I think last week I was a little bit. I could have been misunderstood as harsh towards Samu, right? I wasn't shitting on Samu, and then after thinking about what I said, I wasn't shitting on Samu. I think that Benfica needs somebody that could compete with Vlaco Dimos, and I just don't think that Samu is that goalkeeper. I think that Samu doesn't really present a challenge to Vlaco Dimos. So whether we want to replace Vlaco Dimos or we want to take Vlaco Dimos to the next level, we're going to need somebody that's going to compete with him every day. Samu may very well be a great goalkeeper and may end up being a great goalkeeper down the line. I just don't think he's the guy to compete with Vlaco Dimos right now. So I wasn't really shitting on Samu. I just think that we need to have a guy that's going to compete with Vlaco Dimos, and hence why Cristiano said if he had to go get one guy, if the whole squad stays the same, he would go get a goalkeeper. So it's easy. I think that all of us see what a good goalkeeper with the feet can do, right? So when we're being pressed high and the ball comes back to the goalkeeper, if the goalkeeper has the feet and the technique to place the ball past that first line of pressure into the midfield, we're in much better place in terms of a build out, in terms of how we could come out of defense with the ball. With Vlaco Dimos with the defense being pressed and Vlaco Dimos play the ball back, Vlaco Dimos, most of the time, he usually sends up a 50-50 ball or he plays it out of bounds. Easy. It's
like turnover, like in the NFL, turnover. Just, get back on defense.
It's like a punt, right?
Look, I gave Roger Schmidt, Rui Costa, and everybody at Benfica, I gave all these guys a blueprint of what to do this year. If we recall, the buy, sell, loan, keep, all that stuff. I said it then. You have to loan out Samu. I said it. And all you guys, y'all keep them. Listen, it's nothing against the kid, but goalkeepers this young age, they're either special to be able to play at a club like Benfica with tons of pressure on them on a weekly basis, or they have to go out on loan in order to develop to the next level. Look, guys, some of you that are getting offended because Alfredo apparently, didn't send flowers towards Samu, you guys are characterizing it as him shitting on Samu. No, sometimes we have difference of opinion. And so, therefore, you guys have to sometimes use your cabeza and think for a quick second. You have the likes of Oblak, who was at Benfica, couldn't play. I'm pretty sure he was spectacular at that young age, but wasn't ready. And at the time, we look, as much as I'm not a fan of Vlaco Dimos, we didn't have much better in Artur. It's not like we had, Michel Perdome at the time. And Oblak went out on loan, came back. There's nothing wrong with that. Same thing with Ederson. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. And so to sit here and say that Samu needs to go out on loan because he needs to get experience. The majority of goalkeepers around the world need to get experience before they get thrown to a pressure cooker situation like we see there at the Stade de Luz, right? And the ones that do get thrown in right away, Those guys are the special ones.
Yeah.
Those are the Donnarumas of the world, the Iker Casillas. Those are the guys that go on to play 10, 15-year careers at a legendary status, playing national team. And ladies and gentlemen, there's very few of those guys around the world. And so to say Tamu needs to go, there's nothing offensive about that. Benfica needs to do it. Benfica should have two goalkeepers on this team that can play at any moment when the other one is not available, right? And you're not skipping a beat. Us fans aren't shitting in our pants. The teammates aren't worried about playing with this guy, because trust me, I've played a little bit, but I played. And a lot of times when the backup goalkeeper was in and he was inferior, but by a wide margin to the starter, man, we just looked at each other like it wasn't fun.
No.
It wasn't fun. So Benfica, as I sit here, man, and you guys might think I'm anal about these things, but I've said it for years, man. The exigência Benfica should always be to acquire the best and be the very best. I hate to settle. I'm not a settler. I hate to settle. Just, the guy was great at U19, but no, that's fine. Let him go play. Let him prove himself, and then bring him back.
Yeah.
And that should be at every position. That's not just at goalkeeper.
Yeah. Kevin had a question here. If Ramos leaves, do we go for João Felix? I got to be honest. For as much as I like João Felix, and I love João Felix, I just don't think that he fits the system.
I'm afraid he fits the system perfectly. Bro, listen, first of all, to answer Kevin's question more directly, I think the João Felix situation has has nothing to do with whether Gonçalo Ramos leaves or not. I think João Felix is going to come down to the wire. It's going to be one of those situations whether something pops up, a better opportunity financially for Atletico Madrid. That makes sense. Atletico Madrid cannot run the risk of sending him to a club that he's not going to adapt, he's not going to play, because if they do that, they lose all sorts of value. That's it. The player will be, nobody's going to come even close to offering these guys any type of money to get his services the following season. So they have to be very smart about where they send João Felix next. And if Benfica makes all the sense in the world, because he's coming back home, he's going to adapt, and he's going to play at the level we all expect him to play. He's going to be competing in the Champions League. So Atletico has a very difficult decision to make. They have to send him somewhere where he's going to be successful. Now, to answer your question, Alfredo, come on, you telling me Di Maria, Ramos, and him on the left doesn't fit into the system? That's Maluk, man.
Ramos. If Ramos leaves.
Yeah, but he'd play on the left. He's never going to play striker. But if Ramos leaves, they have to go get a striker. They need a number 9. They always need a number 9. Well, and number 9's not on the roster right now. And João Felix is not a 9. João Felix, where he could play in a 4-3-2-1, is play João Felix in the Rafa position behind the Gonçalo Ramos. Think about that. He could play there. He could play on the left.
And that's what I meant. That's what I meant. If Ramos leaves, we need a goal scorer. And João Felix is not a goal scorer. He's a guy that sets up. He's a guy that sees passes that other people don't see, that sees spaces, but he's not a goal scorer. I think at this point, I think that João Felix needs Benfica more than Benfica needs João Felix. That's my opinion.
A bit of both. A little bit of both, because Benfica gets a player of his caliber. It's not every day that Benfica acquire a player of his caliber. And if he comes in and concentrated and motivated to prove everyone wrong, and playing at the Champions League level, playing in a Campeonato where he's very familiar, playing with the likes of Di Maria, and trying to get his name back out on top of the mountain, come on, bro. The guy will be lights out. Yeah. It'd be phenomenal.
Just some comments here. Tino and Neves should play against Porco, says Redman21. Nick Villadowns says, if Ramos leaves, we get the striker from Feyenoord. You know, I like the finish. It was a nice finish.
I'd swap the two of them right now, but the problem is his price tag of $50 million. And ladies and gentlemen, Benfica is not paying $50 million for anybody. I'm sorry. I apologize to burst your bubble. Again, I never thought they'd pay $30 million for Koksu. So hey, surprised me.
Yeah, Paul Rezende is saying if we bring in anyone that's better than Adi, that will be a miracle and a game changer. I don't know. I just want somebody to compete with the guy. It's sad if status is getting more important than performance. Clearly, Morato is in better moment than Otamendi, says Bruno Gil Rodrigues.
Bruno, I agree with you, bro. But listen, I would not be surprised if Morato gets a call. But we're talking about El Capitão. We're talking about the guy with tons and loads of experience. A guy that's been everywhere and done it all. A guy that knows what it's like to play in these games with the likes of the Scubaremis and all these players, man. It's you know what I mean. It's important to have a guy with his experience on the field.
Yeah,
And so
I agree with you. I think the importance of the game and the context of the game, I think there's an argument to be made for that Otamendi starts, right? If the game is against Gil Vicente, if the game is against Boa Vista, if the game is against Paços Ferreira and many other teams in the Portuguese league, all teams but Porto, I think that there were Morato slots in there and nobody's talking about Otamendi's leadership. But the fact of the context of the game, like Cristiano already mentioned, against Porto, it's crucial. My struggle here is whether or not Otamendi is going to be game fit enough to be able to be at his best level physically. Not mentally, because I think mentally he's always going to be there at 110%. But in terms of physical, is he going to be able to keep pace with a faster forward? Is he going to be able to double up a guy when the guy is beat? That I don't know. But certainly the fact that he has experience in these hot and heavy games, his leadership qualities, and the captain of this team that led this team many games last season, I think it speaks very highly, and he definitely makes a case for him to get a start against Porto. But I'm with you, Cristiano. If Murat starts, I'm not upset.
You ready for me to piss off a whole bunch of people?
I'm always ready for you to piss off a bunch of people.
I'd start Morato on the left and Otamendi on the right. And let's go up there and fight it off. And look, let's not forget, Antonio Silva's worst game as a professional was last game outside lose against Football Club Porto. And I'm not saying that obviously he's going to continue that. I think the world of Antonio Silva as well. But if you really want to throw things for a loop, you play Morato on the left, Otamendi on the right, because you know the physicality is going to be there, man. You're going to need that type of play against the likes of Football Club Porto. But as we all know, it's going to be Antonio Silva, and the question is going to be which of the other two is going to be his partner, Morato or Otamendi. So I think Otamendi will ultimately get the call at the end of the day.
Yeah, Paul Rezendes, I think, I know he says we need a number 9 in João Felix. Ramos changed his number to number 9, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, he did.
SLBE.
Changed to 9. Hold on. Morato changed to 5, and Antonio Silva changed to 4.
4, right. Paul Rezendes also says Otamendi isn't in game shape. His leadership skills are essential, but those leadership skills are pointless if the opponents are going to pass them the whole game. SLBEES says if Otamendi isn't 100%, Morato can step in, no problem. He's ready. Yeah, I think both Silva and Morato are ready, and I think that they would do a good job. But the context of the game is the big factor when it comes to that. So. Hugo Freire, guys, this is simple. He's ready to go. It's always him plus 10.
If he's
This coming from a guy that when Benfica signed him, he couldn't. Oh, this porco! I don't want that fucking guy.
No, you got the wrong guy.
That's not the right guy. That was you, right?
No, me. No. I was a fan. No, he went right away and bought a Otamendi shirt.
Hugo was on board to start. Who is it? The guy that that couldn't stand the Otamendi buy. Do you remember?
I can name you 15,000 of them.
It was somebody from our group of friends, if I'm not mistaken.
It wasn't me, because even this year when the Tels conversation came up, I was all for it. So
it definitely wasn't you. I even think it wasn't me either, because I even think that when he had a couple games and he had a bad game after the start, and people started shitting on him right away, I wasn't even there. People started saying, "Oh, he's sabotaging our team. He's doing this. He's doing." No, I was never part of that crowd.
Our friend Paul Rezende here on the chat.
Paul Rezende.
He's one of them. I think he's finally only now after 2 years. I think he's finally getting over that fact, and I think he's finally starting to admit that Otamendi was been a good signing for me.
Yeah. Roy Paulo says Ristich or Jurasek on the left. throw a coin and decide. Look, I think that at this point, from what I've seen, and I've seen all of the friendlies, each time I felt that Ristich was on a step above from Jurasek. But then again, Jurasek hasn't been with the team for that long, doesn't know the game model, the moves, but I see things like his touch is super loose, super loose. Defending is not the best at defending. Neither is Ristich, but at least I think that Ristich's touch is a little better. I think that we were spoiled last year because a lot of times we came out of the defense through Grimaldo. Grimaldo was a very good associative player. He played well with the guys in the middle. And I think that we kind of took that for granted. And now all of a sudden we don't have a guy that can come out of the ball, out of the back through the fullback position.
I will not be at all surprised if Ristich gets the call because we understand, and I think Roger Schmidt should understand right now the way that Sergio Conceição plays against us, which is pressure up and down the field there every opportunity he gets. And you're going to have a guy like Jurassic Park who clearly, I think he took a doodle in his pants against a Feyenoord, right? You could tell he was having difficulty. He's not ready for a game of this magnitude. I think Ristich is going to be the call because, if, as you mentioned, he's going to be able to control the ball, going to be able to give you a better outlet pass. I'm just not sure about Ristich to sit here and say that he's clearly better than the other guy. I think he's clearly better with the ball at his feet. I don't think there's any doubt there. But I mean, have we seen Ristich play a full game against any team that meant that was worth any
something.
type of shit? Nobody.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
So
yeah. I think we're going to go into this game against Porto with a question mark regardless of who it is. I think we'd all be a lot more comfortable with a Ristich, but I don't think we'd all be 100% sure, like, we're good, we're solid. You know what I mean? And for a guy that's not been Grimaldo's biggest fan over the years, and you and I have had plenty of conversation, bro, I said it on Twitter, and I'm going to say it again, or Twitter or X, whatever the hell shit's called nowadays. I said it there, and I'll say it again. These two mofos are gonna make me miss Grimaldo, bro.
Yeah. Look, and I think that as the season goes on, and I think 3-4 games into the season, things will start becoming a lot clearer in terms of who the starter will be or which guy will be at a higher level than the other. As we saw last season with Ba and Gilberto, I think Gilberto started the season, Ba came in, started playing better, secured the spot, so on and so forth. So I don't know if that's going to be the case with Jurassic. I hope.
There's a huge difference, Alfredo. There's a huge difference. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but there's a huge difference in that. The difference in that is that the year prior, Gilberto had gotten some starts on the Jorge Jesus. He had gotten some playing time in important games. So as a guy with experience at this level, and this is credit to Grimaldo, who's never – he practically played almost every single minute last season, and so he's very rarely off the pitch. But we can't say that about a Ristich. We're talking about a Ristich that's not played at this level. He's been on the squad. He's played against Estoril. He's made a couple of appearances. But Gilberto started ahead. Gilberto was further ahead than what Ba was at the time. When the season kicked off, he was the leader in the clubhouse. I don't think that could be said about Ristich. I think Ristich has taken the lead due to the fact he's played well. It's to his credit. He's performed at the level that at least the level that we all could accept at this point. But I think that we're all just ultimately super disappointed in Jurassic Park that we're willing to get rid of. Right now, Ristich, people are treating Ristich as if he's Grimaldo, because everybody wants to see Ristich all of a sudden. Yes, he's got a beautiful touch with that left foot, but again, there's still another player with a tremendous amount of questions regarding his play as well.
Yeah.
So we're screwed, man. I just hope that these guys come to play.
Yeah, Kevin says Ristich isn't a one-trick pony. Guy has a cannon of a left foot, plus he dribbles past players. I think that you could say the same about Jurassic. At least he tries to
He
get.
tries, but he don't dribble past nobody. My
But
man
he
attempted
has a
5
he does have
times.
a
Yo,
shot.
Boris Negre. By the way, guys, it's embarrassing. We got 8 likes. Come on, guys. Come on. Smash the like. Come on.
How many people are watching? 3, 8.
I don't know. It doesn't matter. Hey, should have come out and come
You
back
go
in
hit
and
the like button.
Yeah, you don't like it. That's why. Boris Lagarde said, if João Mario plays versus Fruta, we lose. Jurassic are physically stronger compared to Grimaldo. That's needed versus Fruta. Roy Paulo, Judo was playing second division Czech just 2 years ago. Gonna take some time to settle. We definitely overpaid though.
Oh yeah.
SOB says let's play 3 center backs. We've got enough players. Get rid of the laterais. Epa, listen, I'm not opposed to it because if you listen SOBEs and most of you guys listen to podcast, I want to play a 3-5, 3-5-2 or a 3-4-3, something along those lines. But it's not something you do right now. I mean,
it's just out of the spur of the moment. Shit needs to get worked.
Like a Jorge Jesus, let's put David Luiz at left back. It can't do that game week. You know what I mean? We've started preseason a month ago, and now all of a sudden we're just gonna surprise it. No, it's got unless they've been practicing it on the sneak, unless it's been the archives. I don't know, but I just don't see it happen.
That was JJ's.
Think it is? Ah, okay.
That was JJ's solution for having Nelson Verissimo and 2 other good center backs was let's go to 3 center back system. That was a solution for not wanting to leave Verissimo on the bench.
Dude, right now you mentioned Verissimo, and I don't know why my head spun, and you're talking about Jorge Jesus, and I was thinking about when he played Roderick at left back as well, or right back, or something like that. And I'm just thinking about some of the disastrous things that have happened. But yeah, just wanted to share that.
But anyway, a clear difference when the second half, Morato came in, Ristich came in, Neres came in, Florentino, João Vitor, João Neves. So we saw a little bit more of a consistent play. Benfica trying to do a little bit more, but they were just pressed high. And I think that Benfica continues, in the beginning of the game, Benfica continues to show difficulties playing against teams that press high. And one of the things is obviously Vlaco Dimos isn't a trusted guy that you could go back to and that he'll play an outlet ball that we could get out of the press. But Benfica struggled. And I think that we saw Porto last season press us high. We saw Sporting last season press us high. And I think that a lot of these teams have that blueprint and they feel that Benfica struggles against the high press. So I'm curious to see what the approach is going to be on the Super Cup. We'll get to talk about that next week as we have another podcast before the game. But certainly a much more consistent, familiar Benfica in the second half than in the first half. But look, the result doesn't matter. 2-1 for Feyenoord. Surprised that to see Gouveia come in the 75th minute. Usually it's a spot where Chiquinho comes in. I wonder if Chiquinho's out the door. Cristiano, have you heard anything in your group of secretive friends about Chiquinho going out?
Latest word is that there's no decision made, but we should hear something on it soon.
On Chiquinho?
And I think Gouveia is going to go out on loan as well.
Yeah. Well, the other kid went out on loan. Martin Net went to Gil Vicente. Martin Net didn't. I think he got minutes in the very first game of the preseason, the one that they played with the training jerseys. But I don't know. I like Martin.
Like that.
Go ahead.
Was it Southampton or something like that?
Yeah, against Southampton. I liked what I saw from Gouveia. Sorry, I couldn't find his name. From Gouveia, but I just don't think that he's played enough or has been much of an option for Roger Schmidt. So I'm thinking he may not even count. Now, if Chiquinho goes out, maybe Gouveia stays. So I don't know.
What? Who's going to play on the wing? Chiquinho plays in the middle. Why should that affect the other?
Gouveia plays a little bit on the interior also. So kind of like in that spot between Chiquinho and João Mario, kind of like a player like that. But he's more of an attacking guy than he is a guy to build up.
Beleza.
Let's go back here to some questions. Paul Rezende or some comments. Let's be honest. Jurassic Park doesn't look good. Can't believe we actually paid 14 mil for him. That will be a disaster if we end up paying that much and he ends up being a flop. Look, I think that every club in the world is aware of what amounts Benfica sells players for. So in return, other clubs are going to play in that same sandbox. They're going to ask for money from Benfica, and I don't have a problem that Benfica spends that much for a player, because I think that if you want to compete and you want to have a competitive squad that can compete outside of Portugal, you got to spend that type of coin. I just think that, and as Cristiano mentioned, whoever decision was to get Jurassic, and I know it's very early for us to be judging the guy or what his potential or what he could be. Whoever made that decision didn't make the very right decision, because if we spent a lot of money, you better hit it right on the head, and it doesn't look like we hit it right on the head with Jurassic, in the same way that we hit it on the head with Auschwitz and with Enzo last season. So we'll just have to see. We'll have to see how it plays out. Nick Valadão says Roderick Miranda is a throwback player. I haven't thought of him in years. Cristiano, do you know where Roderick's playing right now?
I have no. Oh, I think he's in the Premiership.
Australia.
And,
he's in Australia. He's down under, mate.
He was with Nani, right?
He was with Dani. He's
Nani.
playing soccer in Australia. Pedgy was saying that we haven't used the Australian accent, mate. Here it is. That's for you, Pedgy. What else is Roy Paulus? Let's see. Boris is saying we could have lost 3-4, 5-1 versus Feyenoord. Paul Rezende, Roy Paulus saying keep Gouveia, João Mario, and Rafa get ready to learn Arabic. Let's see. Hugo Freire is having his own personal conversation with people in a chat about Otamendi.
This guy's going to scholars.
Boris Negrosa says Jurassic is new at this. He used to play against teams like Stado Pramen or whatnot. Give the guy some time. Yeah, look, I want to give him some time. I hope that there's Cesar Silva from down under. Melbourne City is where Roderick is. I hope that Jurassic proves us all wrong. But look, Cristiano and I have hung out a lot. We have watched a lot of games together. As a matter of fact, we used to watch quite a bit of Red Bull games together. And the one thing that Cristiano always looked for and mentioned in terms of determining how good a player is was the touch. Remember that, Cristiano?
I still do. Yo, I need one touch, and that's it. I don't need to see nothing else.
If the touch is not there, forget about it. You can't play at this level.
The other thing we need to clear up about this Jurassic Park guy, bro, pick up your socks. You don't have the Ginga. You don't have the touch to wear low socks. You're disrespecting all the legends.
Cristiano, maybe he gets cramps.
Yeah, you pick up your socks. Bring them above the knee, bro. Quanto mais castada está, the higher the socks go up. You don't got Ginga, bro. So somebody needs to, because you watch that guy, you expect it, and then you see that horrible touch, bro, you want to throw up. So just bring up the socks, and then maybe we don't expect as much out of you. So I think someone needs to get that message over to him.
Yeah. And as I mentioned, somebody had mentioned that he was just playing second division a couple years ago. And certainly, like I was saying, the touch is key at this level, because you have a lot less time on the ball than you would normally have at a lower level. So that first touch, that controlled recepção orientada, as they say in Portugal, where your touch is always towards where you're headed next. He lacks that, and I don't know if you could teach touch to a guy.
No, you know what pisses me off about the whole Jurassic thing is that I think Benfiquistas, I've said this I don't know how many times now. Benfiquistas are closed-minded. Benfiquistas, they went Google Gaga over Querquez. None of them have ever seen the guy play. None of them. None of them have ever seen Jurassic Park play. And then you have the likes of a Renan Lodi, who's available and actually $1 million cheaper than this Jurassic. Okay, I understand his salary is a little bit more expensive, but so what? He's a 10 times better player. I don't understand. Still relatively young, and I think, 24, 25. And that's what's pissing me off and ticking me off about this whole situation is that there are players who are clearly better options and better footballers than what's available, and yet the leaders at Benfica and the fans alike, they're choosing to turn their face to go acquire a guy that, like somebody said in the chat, and rightfully so, that just 2 years ago was playing in the second division in the Czech league. We're not talking about a powerhouse. We're talking about the Czech league.
I mean, even the MLS is better than that.
Now we're paying $14 million for a guy that's an unknown when you have the likes of a Renan Lodi, a guy who's a Brazilian national team starter. He stopped being a starter because he did not want to take the COVID shot. It wasn't for performances. He doesn't get along with El Cholo Simeone. Well, guess what? He's not the only one. There's plenty of guys. I don't get along with Cholo Simeone, and I never met the guy. So, I mean, you have tremendous footballers who would come in and would be an upgrade over Grimaldo. And yet we choose to turn our face for the likes of Jurassic. I mean, come on. And I've been told that this was a Roger Schmidt request.
Ooh.
And it leaves me very disappointed. And I get it. We should give this guy time. And I'm not trying to say this guy's a flop. I'm not saying he's not going to eventually turn around to be a good player. All I'm saying is that all I know today, you have Renan Lodi or him side by side. It's an easy pick. It's real easy.
Yeah.
It doesn't even, it shouldn't even be a thought. But yet, we choose to turn our face to quality players that could come in and just adds to this club as opposed to these lottery picks who we don't know what the it's a scratch off. You're gonna scratch it off. Maybe you got a good one, maybe you don't. But I know Renan Lodi is a good one, and so it leaves me a little bit upset when it comes to that.
Yeah. Hugo Freire says, for me, it's Antonio Silva and Otamendi as my starting tandem until they play themselves out of the role. I don't value preseason to that level. If you're ready to go, you're ready to go for me. And then Paul has injuries, but that's the thing. Physically, he isn't ready to go, in my opinion. Yeah, I mean, look, I we've already spoke about that. Let's move on. Let's move on. Cristiano, you ready for the next topic?
Oh, no. I thought you were saying we're gonna wrap up.
Domestic fixtures. I just put up here. Our fixtures. Just a couple things that I wanted to mention in the first round. Home to Vitória de Guimarães, home to Porto, home to Sporting, away to Braga, which means that in the second round, we will have to go to Guimarães, go to Porto, and go to Sporting to play, which is a little bit more difficult than playing the second round at home. In September, we got Vizela and Portimonense back-to-back away games. In October, we have 3 games. In October, one against Porto, one against Estoril, one in Casa Pia. All 3 games are going to be in Lisbon, Cristiano. How do you like that? We always talk about the lack of teams from the south, and now all of a sudden we got Estoril, we got Casa Pia, and we got Estrela da Amadora, all Lisbon area teams, and Sporting, obviously.
That's fantastic.
Fandango.
They save on expenses, bro, on logistics. They save.
That's right. You could actually go spend the night before at home, and show up at Stadio de Luz or the Seixal at a certain time, and then be bussed.
They'll be doing the Stadio, I'm pretty sure.
You think so? I think that Roger Schmidt sometimes opts out of the Stadio, if I'm not mistaken. I think I remember one or 2 games last season where he let the players go home. I forget. February, a short month of February. We have 4 games in February, and obviously September, October, November, we'll be going through Champions League, which will then return in February if we make it to the next round. So those games haven't even been sprinkled in there, along with the useless international breaks that we'll have. We'll have one in September, and that's why I think we only have 3 games in September, is because of an international break. Cristiano, any fixtures that jump out at you, or any things about this drawing that jump out at you?
For the campeonato?
Yeah. What do you think of us having to go away to Guimarães, Porto, and Sporting in the second round?
See, I don't pay much attention to that, man. Look, it'd be favorable. I'd rather play those types of games, the second round, coming around at home. But at the end of the day, you're gonna have to play them on the road at home. So it is what it is. You know how I feel about these things, Alfredo. It's about handling your business, do what you have to do. You're gonna have to play them on the road eventually. So it is what it is. Beat them at home and then go out there and put all the pressure on them. They're gonna have to, in order to try to equalize things, they're gonna have to win at home themselves. So it's good in a way, because the pressure will be on the opposite side.
Yeah, Hugo Ferreira, you need a captain on the pitch, not a Pisha Mursa, like João Mário rocking the armband. Cristiano, what do you make of Antonio Silva getting an armband ahead of Rafa? Rafa was one of the captains last year. This year he seemed to have come down in a pecking order.
Rafa got the captain's armband, Alfredo. Yes, he did.
Antonio Silva got it over him, I believe.
Calma, bro. Tem calma, bro. Good. Rafa got it the very first preseason game, if I'm not mistaken. Guy, Freddy's, check it out. Go ahead, answer there on the chat. Rafa wore the armband the very first game, right? The preseason, correct?
He's been passed up by Antonio Silva.
That's not been passed up. I just think he's trying to. I think he's rotating. He's giving the guys, an opportunity to wear it. I think at this point, Rafa doesn't know if he's staying or he's going, and it's just what it is. I think they made him feel special that first game, and then they started making the kid because, see, Rafa wore it against Southampton. Yeah, see?
Yeah, but that was it. He's been he's been passed by Antonio Silva. He's been on the field while Antonio Silva was on the field, and Antonio Silva got the armband, if I'm not mistaken, because this was a topic of conversation elsewhere. So, Carlos Amaro, welcome. I know that you were in Portugal, so welcome back. Hope you had safe travels. Good to see you, my friend. Nick Valadão saying Rafa is one of the co-captains.
I think you're looking too much into it. I think, look, Rafa is obviously a guy that's disputing with the club his renovation, whether he stays or goes. I think Roger Schmidt wanted to give the captain's armband to a guy like Antonio Silva because, as we know, if things go according to plan, and Otamendi's on the field most of the season, and João Mário's on the field, Antonio Silva will probably not wear a captain's armband in an official game. And if he plays like we all expect him to play, he might be gone at the end of the season, Alfredo. So I think they're trying to give him a little bone.
Yeah.
Might be the only opportunity he gets to wear it.
Yeah. Where else? So I'm excited about the start of the season. I just hope that we start on the right foot here with the Super Cup against Porto. Not that that stigma that we usually have when we play against Porto. I hope that we could put that behind us. And
Chico Martin was asking, would you guys sell Rafa to Arabia? Bro, I'd sell him to...
I sell Rafa.
Right, you Parta. Or right, you whatever.
I'll like you Parta.
I'll right, you Parta. Ciao, Laura. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
If we got an offer for $10 million for Rafa, sayonara. I'll take him to the airport.
Bro, yeah, listen, you bring him back, Gonçalo Guedes, I think it's beneficial. He's coming back. I know last week's pod, there's a lot of people clamoring for his return. And so congratulations, you got him back for another season. I think we have plenty of options. Look, a kid like Thiago Villa might be able to stay. But at the same time, if Rafa does leave, I want to see Benfica go out and replace him. And replace him with a starting caliber player, a guy que não deixa nenhumas dúvidas. You know what I mean? I'm tired of these guys that, should he stay? Should he go? Should he start? Should he not? No, man. Benfica needs to start getting players on this team that are going to add to the club, not just add to the rotation.
Yeah, and Cristiano Camada's still out there. I thought that
I don't understand.
somebody would have snapped him up by now, but apparently he's part of that a nice group of players that are free agents.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm Benfica, I'll let go of Rafa and go get a guy like Kamala.
Easy. Easy.
I don't understand what's going on with him neither.
I'm not the biggest fan of Rafa, but this is there's a reason why Rafa has been in Portugal all his career, right? There's lack of consistency, and I think that clubs could smell that from a mile away. There's moments of genius, but those moments of genius are only matched by the moments of azlis. Fernagold misses a goal, just like he did against Feyenoord, a ball that was played perfectly to his feet. All he had to do is put a foot on it, get something on the ball.
What about the week before? One of those games where he gets the ball played Friday. Who was it? Di Maria. I forget. Somebody goes down the left side, plays it into the middle, and he comes. All he has to do is turn his body and tap it in with the inside of his foot. No, instead he tries to hit it with the outside of his foot, and he goes to like the corner flag. Like you're inside the 6.
Yeah.
I mean, all you have to do is just lay up and turn your body and tap it. I mean, but then again, what can I say? Those guys that are professionals. Yeah, I'm doing a podcast on Tuesday nights. Sheikh Marcelino says, I would take Kamada over Rafa anytime.
Any day. There's not even a question.
You late. Sell Rafa and try Kamada again. Agree, man. Agree.
Manny Villadon, decision making at the last touch sucks. Yeah, it has sucked for a little bit. He's a guy that's capable of the worst and the best.
Rafa's always been, the question with Rafa has always been the final ball, whether it's on goal or whether it's a pass. It's always been that final decision that he struggled with. And I mean, look, I was at the Estádio Municipal Aveiro 2014, if I'm not mistaken. Benfica beats Sporting Braga in the Supertaça. In his very first game in a Benfica uniform, Benfica acquired him from Sporting Braga. And in that game alone, he missed like 6 breakaways. 6 one-on-ones with the key. We should have known what was coming. We should have known. But then again, so let's not sit here and shit on Rafa, because he's had flashes. He's had periods at this club where he was lights out, and we've all seen it, and I've said it before. When Rafa is on one of those moments of form, he's arguably the best player in Portugal. The guy is unplayable because of his speed. But there's too much inconsistency in this game, and at this point, if he's not willing to put pen to paper as soon as possible, I would absolutely sell him before the summer transfer window was closed. Not because I dislike the guy, but because I'd rather sell him and get something for him than have him walk away scot-free and get nothing for him like we got with Grimaldo. So I always try to make the last buck as much as I can.
Yeah.
Types of situations.
But it would, I'm of the opinion that we shouldn't even renew his contract. But you're right, Cristiano. If we could get some money this season for him before January rolls around, then he's free to talk to anybody. I would. Like I said, $10 million for Rafa. I'll take him to the airport. Easy. And go
Nick
get
Chris, any chance we swoop in and hijack the Alan Varela the deal? Seems like a smart move if she can. Look, I don't think Benfica needs a like of Alan Varela. They're not going to spend money on another guy to just come sit the bench, because as we talked about at the beginning of the podcast, you have right now 4 legit candidates, and that's not even including Chiquinho, to play in the middle of the park. And Neves, Coxu, Arsenis, even though Arsenis might not play in the middle, but still, and Florentino. But I'd be lying to you guys if I were to tell you I wouldn't enjoy it a little bit. I would love for Benfica to do what they did to us. If you guys recall, with Alexandro, with Danilo, with Jaime Rodriguez, with Ferreira. Pereira, I'm saying, the left back also, the other guy, with the Falcão. So I would love to give them a little bit of their medicine. But at the end of the day, I think Benfica right now, as it stands, I think we're very well served. I'd rather use that money, the 10 mil, to give it to a Kamada and a signing bonus to bring in Kamada than to go get an Alan Varela. Even though Benfica on this team needs another defensive player, to be brutally honest with you, because as we saw in the game against Feyenoord, how important of a piece Florentino can be in that defensive position in the middle of the park, because we don't have anyone else on this team with those same characteristics, which leads me to the next question is, if it's important and we don't have nobody else that plays like him, why is it that he's the only midfielder on the team with defensive characteristics? And I guess then maybe Varela could fit in, but I just don't think Benfica's going to do that.
Yeah.
It'd be nice to see it, Alfredo. Wouldn't you love it?
Oh yeah.
Wouldn't you love it? I would.
I'm not the type of guy tit for tat when it comes to Benfica. That's not the way I live the club, but I certainly understand. And for those of you that don't know, this goes back to the time that Benfica's IT provider was the same IT provider for Porto.
Yeah,
So,
and it was, yeah.
So there was a lot of talk about, Benfica making these moves, having these initial conversations, and then Porto knowing exactly how much Benfica was willing to pay, and then just paying a little bit over it to secure the players. And Porto did that. Cristiano mentioned a list of players. Porto did that for very, very key players that they brought on that ended up making a mark on the seasons that they played for the club, both domestically and internationally.
What about guys that won the Liga Europa, bro? You know what I mean? You're talking about guys that are forever going to be ingrained in their history, and then in European football history, because they lifted a trophy, European trophy. So yeah, man, I just wish we'd give them a little something back. Chic Marcelino says, last time we tried to screw Porto, we got João Vitor.
Yeah. Yeah, that wasn't the best, but that just goes to show. Anyway, this is all we got, Cristiano. Next week we'll be back. Dave is still out. We miss him terribly. Next week we'll be back on Tuesday to preview the Super Cup and discuss a few more things. But it's been nice. It's been nice to be back. It's been nice.
Like button, you SOBs. What are you guys doing? Hit the like button.
You still at 10?
13 now.
13
Yo,
now.
We've been doing this for what, an hour and a half already? Jesus.
Paul Rezin said, I would trade Auschwitz for Varela in a heartbeat. Epa, foda-se. I don't know Varela, so I can't really. But I mean, Auschwitz.
Paul, he's got a subscription to the Argentinian division.
It's free with Fubo.
Free with Fubo.
Yeah. What do you call it? I don't know Varela, but the importance that Auschwitz has on this team because of his.
Yeah, but Alfredo, I told you already. Is he really going to have the same one now? Well, you don't have that guy behind him that he doesn't have to worry about. At some point, he needs to attack. And you had Grimaldo doing the way. Now, Alfredo, I don't know, man. Honest to God, I don't know. Because you're going to need to score goals at some point. You need to go forward, man. And I'm just not sure playing him on the left is the smartest thing to do when you have the caliber of players that you have on this roster. It doesn't make sense.
But he's a guy that balances the team. Just like João Mario, but I think he gives a lot more to the team than João Mario does. He could get
how? João Mario scored 17 goals last year. Koksu tried 10 penalties, missed them all. He couldn't score in a whorehouse with a stack of hundreds, bro. What are you talking about? Remember, he's trying to score and he could not score. Poor guy.
We'll see. Anyway, that's all for us. We'll see you next week. Thank you all the Freddies for being in the chat, keeping it lively. Hope that we provided enough entertainment for you guys on this Tuesday night. Thank you very much, Cristiano. Always a pleasure. Take care, everyone. See you later. Bye.